This is the brand new Galaxy S24 Plus, and it's the phone you would buy if you wanted the very best from Samsung, but you either don't care about the S Pen or you don't care about photos zoomed in 100x. And honestly, there's a lot to like about this phone. It does most of what the S24 Ultra does, but at a much lower cost instead of $1,300. And unlike last year, we're getting a slightly boxier design. Now we're getting some things familiar, but we are of course also getting some new colors, some new features on here, all of which we'll talk about throughout this video. Honestly, some pretty impressive upgrades despite looking somewhat similar to last year's design. So like I said, a boxier design on here feels very welcomed. It's something that Samsung has been trending towards over the past couple years. The S23 was boxier than the 22, and so like it's just nice. I'm a big fan of a boxier design on a phone, and this thing is no exception. There are 4 colors plus some online exclusive colors, I believe, but the 4 colors that I was able to see in person are the onyx black, the marble gray, which is actually really nice, the cobalt violet, I believe is what they call it. Violet, it's a cool color, it's like a kind of purplish color. I think it looks really nice. And amber yellow, I'm not the biggest fan of that one, but hey, everyone gets their own color. So those are the 4 colors. Weirdly though, they are slightly different from the Ultra colors, so the 24 and the 24 Plus have the same color in the Ultra, just a really slight difference in those colors. The same 4, but just like a little bit changed. I'm not sure exactly why Samsung did that, but one thing that they do all have in common is a flat display. That's more of news for the Ultra than these, but it's nice that you're not being held back. That was kind of being waved over your head before, saying like Samsung was basically saying that a curved display was more premium and the cheaper ones got a flat display. Until this year, all 3 have a flat display, which I think is pretty nice. And speaking of display, on the S24 Plus, it's actually a little bit bigger this year, so one of the reasons you would buy the S24 Plus instead of the S24 regular is the larger display, but with that you're also getting a higher resolution display. So this is 6.7 in now, which is 1 in larger than last year's 6.6 in on the S23 Plus, and it's about a 2-inch bigger than the S24 regular. And in addition, like I said, the higher resolution, this is Quad HD Plus, which is better than the FHD we're getting on the S24 regular, and technically because it's the same resolution as the Ultra but a smaller display, it's technically a better pixel density than the S24 Ultra. And much like the S24 regular, we have the same camera specs as last year. On these 3 cameras on the back, we still have a 12 megapixel selfie lens on the front, a 12 megapixel ultra wide on the rear, a 50 megapixel primary on the rear, a 10 megapixel 3x telephoto on the back, and all of those, like I said, are going to be similar to last year. So really the improvements that we're going to be seeing in the cameras are going to be more on the software side, on the processing side, which is kind of where we are with most cameras these days. You don't really see a lot of changes in the actual camera hardware year over year. A lot more often you're seeing it on the software side, the computational photography. And because I only got to use this phone for about 2 hours in a pretty well-lit environment, I didn't get some extensive testing time with this. So if you want to see some more in-depth camera testing, be sure to subscribe to the channel and follow me on social media. As soon as I have these phones for a longer period of time, I'll actually run that test, and I'll be making some in-depth videos about the entire lineup, the 24 Plus, and of course the 24 Ultra. So if you want to see those, be sure to subscribe now. What Samsung did add, however, that I can show you that I really got to test out are the new AI features. Now AI is such a buzzword, it's honestly getting exhausting at this point how much people are saying it, but there were some new features that are baked into One UI that use AI pretty heavily, specifically generative AI, but other parts of AI as well. And so the ones that I really saw here, there's really 4 of them. The first one is circle to search, and not necessarily generative AI here obviously, but this is really cool because this is something that in the past you would have to use Google Lens for or Google Photos, and it was kind of scattered about. Like you could still use this, but it was a little bit less easy to use. Now it's way more streamlined, so everybody's going to be using it a lot more. And the way it works is you could either use your camera and take a photo, or just use an already existing photo in your gallery and find whatever object that you want to learn more about, and then you can circle that object, and that will allow you to search based on that image. And some examples I was Thinking of where you might want to use this could be like identifying like a food in another country, this could be obviously translating text in another country, this could be identifying a plant or an animal outside, or if somebody's wearing a piece of clothing that you really like and you have a photo, you could circle that like that piece of clothing and it could help you find that. So you could buy it for yourself. Like overall a really cool feature that I've always used a lot, and I can't tell you how many people were downloading third-party apps to identify plants and they're paying money for that one. Like yeah, you could just use Google Lens and people didn't know that, but now that it's baked in a little bit better on this phone, I think more people are going to be using this feature more. The second one, definitely a lot more of a generator AI feature, kind of one that we've seen a lot in the past with some different plugins and apps that people like to get in. This one is called chat enhancement, and so there's really three things that this does. When you're just say you're typing, you're sending a message to somebody, or what I usually do is I'll use the microphone, I'll do speech to text, and when I speak sometimes it's a little more casual, and so if you want that to be converted to something more formal you can change tones. So once you have the text there, you tap on the little AI button. This is the button that we're seeing all over the interface now, and you can either translate, you can change tone, or you can check spelling and grammar, and changing tone is the one that I've been using. I think I would use the most, however it's still not perfect. Like in this example here, you can see it's not perfect, but it's a feature that maybe could have some use cases to give you an idea, maybe help you expand your vocabulary, stuff like that. The next one is translation. This is going to be big for phone calls, for voice recordings, for text. Translating anything across your phone is something that you can do a lot more. So if you're working with or friends with people from another country, or just anybody who has a different native language, this should make it easier to communicate with different people just more easily without having to use Google Translate all the time. And the last one is the AI summarizer. So if you have something in Samsung Notes, you copy and paste a PDF and you copy a paragraph in, or if you have like a transcription from like a voice memo for example, you can go to the bottom of that, you can just tap for the keyboard and tap on the AI button, and here again you can select summarize, and then summarizers kind of makes it easy. I could see students really using this a lot, like summarizing a lecture. You can put this at the top or the bottom of your notes and it kind of gives you like a little, just a nice little excerpt, a little abstract of what is in those notes, to make it a little easier and faster for you to find whatever you're looking for in the future. As far as the internals go on the S24 Plus, this might answer the question of why would you get the Plus versus the regular. So we mentioned the screen already, right? But there are some other improvements here as well. So the